And second point, see, okay, we will identify the, company, for example. Let's say I've identified the insurance company or any company given right now. But how this role does company management play in this stock picking? It's very important to understand about the management of that company. So, is it really necessary? So, what is your opinion on that?
Yeah, so I think one is identifying the business. I think that's what we try to do first. The second is management. Management is extremely important in Indian context. And let me do just a little bit of recap of recent history. If we just study the policies of the government, there was demonetization, there was GST, there was RERA, you had insolvency and bankruptcy code, and now you have this agriculture bill coming in.
Right.
All of these are indirectly bills to really clean up our system. Meaning,
Right.
if we really go to the core of those bills, they are essentially to clean up the way in which the system of this country is working. So market also is dividing everything into two parts. One is good corporate governance, and the other is bad corporate governance. So companies with quality corporate governance, and which is nothing but a fallout of quality management, are being rewarded very handsomely in the market. Likewise, bad governance is being punished to death in the market. So our market is also just dissecting the things in two parts. Now, important thing in management, again, where you'll get that super alpha is to see where the management is changing. So if the management is historically having a track record and there is no change, market will not see it as a surprise and will not reward it. So if there is a
Okay.
positive surprise, market really rewards it handsomely. So let me give two examples. In when I'm saying management change, I mean either two parts. So the first is whether there is a change in leadership, and the second is change in ownership. So when I'm
Okay.
talking about change in leadership, let me give an example to make things very simple. Let's talk about ICICI Bank, for instance. Now, ICICI Bank is a great franchise. It's a super business.
Right.
But unfortunately, now we all know that, it was not run properly by Miss Chanda Kochar in her times. And, there are lots of issues going around. But look what we have now. Now we have Mr. Sandeep Bakshi, who is actually at the helm of the bank. And he's a people's man. So he is completely having a motivated team at ICICI Bank, and everybody in the bank is charged up to deliver themselves. That is the difference which a top management or one person can bring in the entire organization. So
Right.
what Mr. Sandeep Bakshi is doing is extremely instrumental and is percolating right down to the bottom, and the last RM in the bank is charged up to do business. So
Wow.
ICICI Bank is a classic example of change of leadership from the days of Chanda Kochar to the days of Mr. Bakshi. The entire bank is going to get re-rated in the market when the cycle turns of the banking sector, and once we come out of this entire moratorium and pandemic situation. ICICI Bank is really geared to deliver a lot in the times to come.
Wow.
Another example which I can give is something in Axis Bank as well, where Mr. Amitabh Chaudhary has taken in place of Ms. Shikha Sharma. So
Right.
Amitabh Chaudhary is also very instrumental in driving things in the bank. And once the cycle turns, even Axis Bank will start delivering great results. So this is what I mean by, change of key management personnel, KMP, or the change of key leader in the organization, and how that results in great value. The second thing which I mentioned, Rishi, was change of ownership. So there are many companies which were good businesses and they have changed their hands. Let me give a couple of examples. So it's like you had Reliance Mutual Fund. Now that was originally owned by Anil Ambani,
Right.
and it was a massive underperformer in the market.
True.
Now that company of Reliance Mutual
Nippon.
Fund has got sold out to Nippon of Japan, and it
Right.
is a big structural change in the management which is happening. They are being very instrumental to focus on growth. So these are the change we need to see. Another example is of SL Propack. So it had a tag of Subhash Chandra in the past, and unfortunately, Mr. Chandra had his own personal obligation and could not really run the company successfully. So that has got
Right.
sold out to Blackstone. And now private equity guys are managing the show. The return ratios of the company have changed overnight, and they've got the great board in place. So I'm saying that management is very important. Management plays a very big role, and we need to see where managements are changing. If the company's management is doing what it was doing for decades, market will not reward it. But if there is a positive change of leaders like Mr. Bakshi in ICICI, or Mr. Chaudhary in Axis Bank, or you have SL Propack, or you have Nippon Life, market will re-rate them. So we should think about where the re-rating is going to come. Businesses are good. People who run the company also are good. Market re-rates them, and that is the role management will play in the companies which will become the great winners of tomorrow. So those are my thoughts largely on the management bit.